All right, so I'll begin by saying this very quickly. Surge, a powerful rush of an emotion or feeling, a sudden forward or upward movement, especially by a crowd. The new home team, this is a Calgary Surge. Let's ball. Welcome, Jason. Thank you very much for being here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. We play tonight, and so getting in game mode, even though I have nothing to do with the actual game, just getting myself prepared for I think what's going to be a really exciting game.
Thank you. So everyone that's listening to this, today is Friday, and we're recording this on Friday, Friday, June 9th.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you again for being here. And Jason, I know there's a lot of people that already know you. You've been around in our community for a while in different areas. I originally thought you were from Calgary because you do so much for our city. I just found out that you're not.
Yeah, no, I moved here in 2015, actually from Toronto. I'd grown up in Stony Creek, Hamilton, moved to Toronto, for the years prior that I moved to Calgary, and then I moved here to do my PhD. And ever since then, I've just been 2 feet into Calgary. I got married in Calgary. I had our first son here in Calgary. We're expecting our second shortly as well. And so Calgary is home, and I get to be in the great privilege of being someone who not only sort of has built his family life here, but certainly has this unique lens where all of the affiliations I have professionally are very closely connected to the city. Literally in the title, you have, the Calgary Surge. I'm a commentator for Global News Calgary. I'm on the board of Sport Calgary. Before that, I was an executive for Calgary Economic Development. So I've had this very wonderful and unique career path where I've literally gotten to represent our great city in everything I do.
Yes. And I mean, if I was in your shoes, that would be such an amazing. And I want to ask you, how does it feel? Because I know you've been part of our community, like you just mentioned, but now you're in a whole different area, and you get to reconnect with a younger generation, a complete different environment, and you get to inspire a lot of young people, right? So I want to ask you, how does that feel? Because right now we look at Surge and we think, oh my God, huge success, but it wasn't like that. And I know it's been a long process for you and the whole team.
Yeah, no, I think it's well put, right? It's a responsibility. It's a responsibility, I think, when we acquired the team, myself and my friend Usman, when we decided to go down this venture, we understood we were inheriting responsibility, responsibility to do things the right way, to, I think, right some wrongs about how professional sports engages community, and figuring out how we engage all of community. And you see that very intentionally in how we communicate, in some cases in different languages. We've gone to all 4 corners of the city, not just 1 or 2 particular areas. We've tried to expand the conversation that even though it's a basketball team, in order for this to be successful, it has to be more than a basketball team. So we've taken on, I think, additional levels of responsibility. But as 2 community guys who just love the city, that's the only way we really know how to do it. And you mentioned it's been a process. It's been a quick one. We launched the team publicly in October. And here we are in the early days of June. And so it hasn't been that long that we've had the reins. But, this thing has grown from, a text message between Usman and I to, a core group of, 3 or 4 staff, to now this is an over 150 person operation to be able to put on these games for our fans and our season ticket holders. And I've just been so immensely proud of the team, our partners, and our community for responding in the way that they have over such a short period of time, and for what was, for a long period of time, an unknown project and an unknown team that didn't have players, didn't have a coach, but luckily we do, and luckily they're good.
So do you believe this will add value to our city? Because everyone knows Calgary is one of the most amazing cities to live in, right? We all know that. It's been advertised everywhere, outside and inside of our country. But do you believe this sport, specifically basketball, adds to our city?
Yes, and I think it does it in a very different way. You've mentioned the fact that we rank very highly as a city on a lot of these livability scales and all of these things. But I think when you boil down to it, when you're dealing with your family or when you're talking to people about Calgary, very few of us, list some magazine that ranks us very high. We talk about the things that are so closely connected to our family, the fact that we can, drive to one end of the city and another, and not be like where I grew up, an hours long endeavor from, one end of Toronto to the next. The fact that you can live affordably here. And I think what we view in a small way as our role is to do less talking and more showing. We want to be able to show all of these different sort of, vignettes of what Calgary can be through something so visceral as sport and culture and art and music all combined. And basketball, I think, does that better than any other sport on this planet. We want to be able to show people that visual and have Calgary embedded in the things that you see versus telling them, hey, do you know we're this most livable and this most that, and it's, ranks number 4th on this. That's, less relevant to me. I think you need to appeal to people's heads, and you need to appeal to people's hearts. And I'd be hard pressed for people to have looked at some of the visuals that we've captured in the Northeast, at Siksika, downtown. We just closed down the Peace Bridge for this photo shoot where we revealed our jerseys, all of these very cultural moments about Calgary, and not have a reaction or a response. And I think that's what I'm most proud of, is we're going to show people where our values are. We're going to show people incredible visuals of our city, and hope that that turns the dial more than any of the other things that we could potentially say.
Jason, I know, and I mean, most people that know about you know that you're a natural community builder, right? Like that's what I've seen you done. And well, I didn't know you weren't born here, but since you've been here, it seems like that's the message that you've been sending with everything that you've been doing. Have you been dealing with challenges, building community around this basketball team?
I think yes and no. I think, to be honest, it's the community's embraced us faster than I think we thought, which I think has created a corresponding challenge, which is, hey, you now have over 1,000 season ticket holders, before we ever played a game. And, to my knowledge, the league record for teams, and the league has been around for 5 years, the Canadian Elite Basketball League, I'm pretty sure the record for most amount of season ticket holders was 1,000. And then that was after a full season of play. And so certainly I think those good things have had unintended consequences, namely which, well, now you got to make sure that you're caring for not just 200 people or 400 people or 500 people, but 1,000 people. And I think that's a testament again to how strong of a team we've built internally, very, very passionate, diligent, young, diverse staff that we have really jumped in 2 feet to this. And, it's been, I'm going to be honest, it's been long hours. It's been, I think requiring more from them, especially coming into a season really hot and heavy as we have, with no real ramp up. You go into game 1, there's no preseason, there's no nothing. You're really right there. And I think it's, our schedule was a bit brutal up front. We had a home opener on the 27th of May. We were in Edmonton on the 28th. We were back at home on the 30th. And to put on 3 games for a staff for mostly have never put on these games before has been taxing. But I think it's all good, because I think, to your point, it's not just me who's a community builder. It's dozens and dozens of people who know why they're doing this. They're not just doing this so they can put something on their resume about being involved with a basketball team. They're not just doing this because they think they're going to get to talk to a professional basketball player. They're doing this because the people that we've hired have been community builders for 5, 6, 7 different Calgary organizations for a number of years. And finally, they see the same opportunity that we did, which is art, culture, fashion, business, all coming together. This could be an opportunity to use that experiences and jump 2 feet in. And I'm proud to say that they have, but I won't, it's come with some work. So all of them after the season, I think, have earned a really extended break.
Hey, I have a question from Edson. We
Sure.
asked a few people if they had questions, and that's how do you plan to establish the team's identity and create a strong base in Calgary? That's one of the biggest challenges, hey, for any sports team.
Yeah, I think so. But I think at the same point in time, there's 2 things. Look, I think part of what we're going to do is trust our basketball operations staff. And I think the identity of the team is something that you can't really plan for, right? You don't know what player mix you're going to get. Certainly we were involved in the hiring of our general manager and our coach, but that's kind of where it stops. And then you have to trust those people to build the team that they need. And the fact that, our players have already started to engage community. They're already starting to frequent, shops downtown and buying local and, interacting with our partners and sponsors, et cetera. It's been a really beautiful thing to see. Last night we were just at the 32nd annual JCC Paperny Sports Dinner for the Jewish Community Center here. And we had players come out and participate in games for charity. Like, these are the kind of players we've brought on. I think that's where that identity will come from is, again, we're not going to talk about it. We're just going to show you. We'll show up to community and earn your trust, as I think we've started to do as well. I think it helps that one of our players is actually from Calgary. So Clayton Henry is a local Calgarian, involved with many of the basketball programs here, CYDC, a lot of these groups, is actually suiting up for the Surge. So I think that helps. And then the third piece, I think, is something that's a responsibility of our office. And certainly I put a lot on my shoulders, which is this concept of being the home team. And you look at that word home, it's namely the most comforting thing that you can think of. And I think by being as inclusive and accessible as we've been from the very start, and by the very start, I mean, we launched the team October 19th. In November through to December, we went on this home team tour where anyone who told us they had a basketball related event or someone who was interested in learning more about the Calgary Surge, we went to all four corners of community those 2 months and stood up at events and listened to people and found out what they wanted from this team. And so we've embedded very directly some of those thoughts, that feedback, right into the DNA of the team. And I think you can't skip that step. There was no time for focus grouping. There's no time for market research. You literally had to go into community and talk to people. And I'm so grateful that we did that early on, even as taxing as it was, because I think that's what's, I think a result of the community support for this team this early on. But we've got a lot more work to do for sure.
Hey, I heard someone asking you if you thought that we had many things going on in the sports world here in Calgary. And I come from Mexico City. So we have a lot of teams in the same, it doesn't matter what sport it is. And I want to ask, don't you feel there is actually a lack of sports or sports opportunities for younger people here? I know there's a lot of recreational, but professional teams or professional opportunities in Calgary for good sports people. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it depends on how you look at it, right? From a professional standpoint, I think certainly in Mexico and even in Europe, there are so many teams and so many different leagues of varying professional quality. And in North America, that environment is a little bit constrained, right? You have, professional and semi-professional leagues that are, focused on being in as many markets as possible. And those markets have to be able to sustain those professional opportunities, right? And so, certainly I think we are a little bit spoiled in the fact that we have, professional football, soccer, hockey, lacrosse, and now basketball. But certainly I think that there's room for more. And I think we're a global city, mid-size, but we're increasingly becoming a global city, certainly one of the largest in Canada. And I think we're well positioned to be able to welcome new opportunities. You're starting to see conversations about women's professional leagues, something that I'm quite passionate about, finding ways to support. And I think one of the things, again, the responsibilities that we have is to make sure that we have a playbook or a blueprint for success very early on. That, again, after we get out of this first season, and knock on wood, if all things go well as they have thus far, our job is to open source that, to provide as much support as we can so that new offerings from professional sports opportunities can come to this city and can support. And so I think the other thing to note as well too is that, this is not zero sum for us. I'm a Cavalry FC fan. We're going to be going, our players are going to be going to a Cavalry FC game. Their players are going to come to our games. I'm a Flames fan. I'm a Hitman fan, Wrangler fan, Stampeder fan. I think there's room for everybody at the table. And all of that goes to, I think, supporting a very young, diverse and vibrant city, I think more the better.
Good. And just to end with an inspirational note for everyone, all the young people that are listening, and that look at Surge as a finally I have an opportunity, right? Because there's a lot of basketball. I go to a junior high school in Kensington, and I see these kids, they're crazy about basketball. They didn't think ever they would have a team here. So now they do. What message can you send to all these kids?
Well, I think, you've waited long enough, and now the wait is over. But I think as well, my message to them is kind of threefold. One is, the excitement of professional basketball being in the city is palpable. And I think what we're so excited about is we know this is going to support the improving the quality of basketball at all levels, the training that you'll be able to get at a high performance level, but also increasing the opportunities so that, if you're someone whose parents have to drive 20, 30, 40 minutes away to get you to that basketball league, our goal is to hopefully support it so that you have something a little bit closer, that you have more opportunities to participate in the game. That's number one. Number two is that because we've been so, I think, diligent about wearing our hearts on our sleeve and our values and our support for community, we've brought on players that really, I think, believe in that as well. And so you can look to these guys as role models. You can look to them and their stories and the challenges that they've had to overcome to get where they are, to play at this high of a level. Some of them playing in the NBA, and now playing for the Surge, certainly can draw a lot of inspiration, not just from how they've approached basketball, but how they've approached their life and the challenges that they've had to overcome. Number two. And number three, I think for any of those kids, the really important part for us was that kids have the opportunity to experience this in any way, shape, or form. And so the two things that we've stressed really importantly are, one, that this is an affordable night out for you and your family. And so I don't feel guilty, for kids pressuring mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, to be able to say, take me to a Surge game for $26. I think I'm quite proud that we've stuck to our values there and made sure that it's affordable and accessible. But secondly, for kids that don't have opportunity, for kids that for whatever reason are facing barriers, we've partnered in a nation-leading program with Kids Up Front Calgary to send, not just hundreds, but thousands of kids to our games for free due to the generous support of the business community that we feel very well connected to. And I think we've raised over $100,000 in a short period of time just to be able to send these kids to the games who don't have access, get them their transportation, get them shirts, and have them create memories that will last a lifetime. I got to tell you, to close, 90% of the reason we've done this, 90% of the reason we've done this is for kids in that next generation. Both of us as dads feel that importance really, I think, close to home and to heart. And the fact that we're able to unlock that potential for kids to make these lasting memories is probably why we're here today.
Nice. Well, thank you very much. I just out of curiosity, did you ever think you would be in this position where you're at? Like, because I know you're a sports fan,
Yeah.
right? So maybe at the first game you went to, a basketball game, did you ever think I'll be there?
No, it's impossible. But like the only, you think of folks who own teams and things like I think Jay-Z was like the closest reference when he owned a stake in the Brooklyn Nets. But no, and I think because it's really not I don't think we feel it's about us. This is like any other community building project. This is like any other business that we have to run. This is like any other endeavor we would take on. We did our homework. I probably need to sit back and enjoy it a little bit more. I think I'll breathe a little easier once we get through the playoffs and hopefully, with some playoff success. But I think, I'll do that analysis, after the full season is done. But certainly, what a life, this, the impossibility of me sitting here talking about a professional basketball team and being at the helm of that speaks to, I think, a lot of support that we've gotten from the community, but also a lot of support that I've received personally over the years. And I think also to the point that this is a beautiful country, it's a beautiful province, and it's a beautiful city. And certainly I would give credit if I have anything to do with this, and I'm in this position, Calgary's been a very real reason as to why.
Well, thank you very much. Just one more comment from Lily. She's a professional designer, and she wanted to say congrats on the logo, that it's beautiful and it looks great on merch. She used to do merch for rock bands in Mexico and all that. So
Oh,
she saw
amazing.
that and she said, "Oh my God, I love it. I love it. I just want more women's merch." And I said, "All right, I'll send the message."
Literally at our game today, and I think soon to be on the website. We actually have, it's not exactly like this, but we'll have quarter zips for women. We've ordered ladies tees as well, and certainly I think knock on wood, very shortly, even bomber jackets. So we're going to take some big swings on merch. I know we set a single game record for the most amount of merch sales at our inaugural game in the league's history. And so I'm really excited that people are responding to it. If there's one cool thing that I'll say that I've been really excited about, has been the fact that people have been so responsive to the merch. Like, it was a really intentional thing. I think I've got drawings somewhere scattered around in my office of like the jerseys back in the day and the shirts and all that kind of stuff. And certainly a great team that's put it together. But the fact that people are saying it's cool, it's wavy, it's no goofy stuff, like that is the biggest compliment you could give us. So I'm really excited by that.
Well, thank you very much, Jason. Thanks again for everything that you're doing for our community and here in Calgary, inspiring and motivating us. So thank you very much, and I'll see you at the game.
Thank you. Appreciate it.